Tales from the Chandamama. The Sleepless King. Long ago there lived a king by the name of Nishacharavarma. The king was tall, well-built, courageous and kind-hearted. He cared for his citizens and ensured that the common man was well served. He was also revered, respected and feared by the neighboring kings because he encouraged trade between the states and he had a mighty army that protected his territories. One morning, on the eve of Sankranti festival, he called for his minister and told him, "Convey my heartfelt greetings to our farmers and give every one of their families a bag of rice as Sankranti gift." "Yes, your majesty, that's very kind of you," said the minister. "Yes, indeed. They till our soil and grow the food that we all eat. We owe it to their hard work," said the king in honest gratitude. "Sure, your majesty," replied the humbled minister, and looking at the king's red eyes, the minister inquired, "Is everything okay with your majesty? Your eyes are red. Could you not sleep well again last night?" "Oh yes, you are right. My eyes are red because I've had difficulty falling asleep. I lay awake most of the night." "Your majesty, people are very concerned that you cannot sleep well. Have you tried drinking warm milk before going to bed?" Yes, I have tried everything. Tossing and turning, drinking milk, counting sheep, and many other things that our court Vaidya recommends from time to time. I have even tried taking sleeping pills prepared by him and by many others. Alas, to no avail. I can barely manage to sleep even for an hour or two," lamented the king. "I am sorry to hear this," said the minister. That night the king could not sleep even a wink. He lay wide awake on his bed. As the dawn neared, he felt so annoyed and disgusted that he woke up with a jerk. He took off the king's costume and dressed himself like a farmer. He put on a cotton dhoti and shirt, made a rumal with his towel, covered his head and quietly slipped out of his palace. He looked very much like a farmer heading to the field. The main street was silent and nobody took note of him. He kept walking and reached the outskirts of the town. He then entered the forest. The sun had just risen. The morning air was fresh, and he could hear the chirping of the birds and the gentle flow of a nearby stream. He took a deep breath and felt refreshed in the midst of Mother Nature. Some distance away, he could hear the sound of axe. He followed the sound, and after walking a couple of minutes, he saw a woodcutter striking his axe on a tree. The woodcutter did not notice the king. He kept striking his axe. The king went closer and greeted him. "Hello, my friend. What's your name?" "Oh, you took me by surprise. I thought you were my employer. My name is Somana. I don't recall having met you before. Who are you?" asked the woodcutter, as he could not recognize the king who was in his disguise. "I am Ninganna. I am a farmer," lied the king. "You? A farmer? It's hard to believe." "Why?" "Although you appear like a farmer outward, your hands are like a nobleman's. They're smooth and do not have signs of soil or hard labor. Look at mine," said Somana, showing both his hands, "rough like the skin of a crocodile." "Do take some rest and tell me more about yourself." "I cut trees for a living. I live with my family at a village not far from here," said Somana, and sat down with a sigh. "Have you heard about our king's insomnia?" asked the king, indulging in gossip. "Yes, I have heard about our king's sleeping problems. Surprising, don't you think? I can't believe he cannot sleep in spite of his soft bed, silky robes and maids fanning him all night." "Maybe he has a lot of worries being a king," defended the king. "But his people are all happy and can sleep well. What's the problem with our king? Show me a stretch of shade and I can fall asleep in minutes. But I cannot lie down even if I wanted to, as I need to keep working to feed my wife and children." The king became curious and desired to watch him fall asleep. Why don't you take a break now and sleep for a while? But who will cut this tree? This needs to go down before noon. My boss will be here any moment. He will be angry at me and won't pay me if the tree is not cut. I must get back to work. I've already wasted a lot of time talking to you. Don't worry about your boss. Give the axe to me. I will cut the tree myself and you take some rest. Somana could not resist the offer as he badly needed rest. He gave the axe to the king, spread a towel under another tree, and began snoring as soon as his head touched the ground. The king was amazed that he could fall asleep in a matter of seconds. He held the axe and started striking blows at the spot on the tree where Somana had left. The king put all his might and with heavy breath lifted the axe up and struck the tree with endless blows. He soon began sweating and took off his shirt and paused for a while. He was panting, but he did not stop. The tree must be cut before noon as promised to Somana. He swung the axe and resumed chopping. The sun's heat was blazing, and the king kept striking the axe on the tree. Finally, when the sun was right over his head, the tree came down with a thud. By now, the king was feeling exhausted and was glad that it was all over. Under the shade of the same tree where Somana was sleeping, the king spread himself, put his hand below his head, and was asleep like a child in seconds. Later in the afternoon, Somana's boss came by and was surprised to see Somana deep asleep. He was puzzled to see another man sleeping nearby. "Wake up, you fool!" he yelled at Somana. However, his yelling woke up the king, but not Somana. "Who are you, and why are you yelling at him?" inquired the king. "I am his employer, and it is none of your business what I do with him," he said angrily and proceeded to wake up Somana. "Leave him alone. If you touch him, I will smash your head," thundered the king. Somana's boss shuddered at the tone of his voice and had a close look at this well-built man. He did not know that he was in the presence of the king, and thought this man must be some rowdy, and mellowed down instantly. "I will come back again and will take you to task," he said emptily, as his self-esteem was at stake. He quickly withdrew and went away. A few yards down, he heard footsteps of approaching men. They were the king's bodyguards. One of them asked him, "Have you seen our king? He has been missing since morning." He told them that he did not know of any king, but there was a man who behaved like a king of kings, and pointed them towards the tree. The bodyguards thanked Somana and proceeded to the spot indicated. Although the king was in disguise, the king's bodyguard had no difficulty in identifying their master. "Your Majesty, we have been looking for you all morning." "It's all right," said the king, and pointing his hand at the sleeping Somana, he ordered, "Carry this man carefully and take him to the palace. Do not wake him up. At the palace, let him lie down on a soft bed. Cover him with silk and fan him gently. When he gets up, feed him sumptuously with food from the palace kitchen. And when he is ready to leave, give him a bag of gold coins so that he can take care of his family for the rest of his life." "We will take good care of him, Your Majesty, but could you tell us who is this man?" inquired the puzzled bodyguards. "This man was God sent to me. He did to me what no medicine or doctor could do. He has taught me how to sleep soundly and has relieved me of a lifetime suffering.